At the peak of Nollywood's golden era, this man was everywhere. He was not just a Nollywood actor, he was a man millions of Nigerians watched, admired, and respected. They called him Mr. Quality. He was handsome, talented, respected, and loved by millions. At one point, his name alone could make people rent home videos. But then, the same man who once drew Nigerian screen slowly disappeared from the industry. Fans thought he had left acting to focus on business, but unknown to the public, he was battling a broken home, court cases, health problems, and the pain of being separated from the children he loved. And by the time the truth started coming out, the actor many Nigerians grew up watching was already gone. This is a story of Saint Obi and the secret he carried to his grave.
If we fail to recover those goods, we would have failed in our duty.
In this documentary, we are going to unveil what really happened to Saint Obi and understand how a man who once drew Nollywood ended his final years in pain, privacy, and silence. Brace yourself. My name is Princeteepzy, and this is Fame and Fallout. To truly understand the secrets behind the rise and fall of Saint Obi, we need to go back to the very beginning. He was born Obinna Nwafor on November 1965. His roots came from Alaini Ogwa in Mbatolu local government of Imo State. But although his family came from Imo, much of his childhood was spent in Jos, Plateau State. Back then, he was just a young boy growing up in a home filled with rules, discipline, and responsibility. Obinna was not born into luxury. He came from an ordinary family trying to build a decent life. His father, Nwafor Nwafor, believed strongly in discipline, the kind of father who wanted his children to stay focused and avoid distraction. His mother, Millicent, was a fashion designer. So while his father brought discipline, his mother brought warmth and creativity. Together, they raised a large family. And inside that family, young Obinna stood out immediately. He was the only son among 8 children. That alone carried a lot of weight. In many African homes, especially during this time, being the only son often comes with silent expectations. People expect strength. They expect leadership and responsibility even before you understand life yourself. As Obinna grew older, he quietly began developing an interest in performance. Stories and drama interested him. The idea of becoming someone else through acting fascinated him. School activities slowly became places to find him express himself. He enjoyed performing. He enjoyed standing in front of people, but nobody knew where it would lead. Because during those years, acting was not viewed as a way many people see it today. Parents often want professions like medicine, engineering, law, or banking. Those were the dream many families wanted for their children, not acting or entertainment. Still, something inside of him kept pulling him towards creativity. As he continued his education, he attended school in Jos and later moved forward to study theater art at the University of Jos. That decision quietly changed everything. Unlike many actors who later entered Nollywood through luck and connection, Obinna actually studied the craft. He learned stage performance, he learned directing, he learned storytelling, he understood how emotions work and how characters lived. While many people were simply chasing certificates, he was building something he did not fully understand yet, a future in the entertainment industry. University life shaped him in many ways. Friends remember him as calm, focused, and disciplined. He wasn't the loud type. He wasn't troublesome. He carried himself differently, even physically, he stood out. He had just finished school and training, and all he was left with were dreams. But dreams alone do not open doors. Sometimes, life waits until the moment you least expect it. And somewhere in 1996, one opportunity quietly arrived. A simple television commercial. A commercial that looked ordinary, but would completely change his life forever. By the mid-1990s, Obinna Nwafor had finished school. Like many young graduates around that period, he stepped into the world filled with uncertainty. The dreams were there, the talent was there, but talent and opportunity do not always arrive at the same time. For many people leaving school during those years, life quickly became a competition. Thousands of young men and women were searching for jobs, searching for direction and one opportunity. And somewhere inside that crowd was Obinna. He was quietly carrying a dream many people did not understand. Because back then, Nollywood was still finding its feet. Nobody knew how far it would go. Nobody knew that small production with limited budget would one day become Africa's biggest entertainment industry. At that time, many actors were entering through different paths. Some came through modeling, some came through television, others simply came through connection. For Obinna, his own door arrived from an unexpected place, a car advertisement. In 1996, he appeared in a Peugeot television commercial that aired on NTA. At first, it looked like an ordinary advert, just another face on screen and nothing too serious or dramatic. But sometimes, life changes quietly without warning or noise because people started noticing him. There was something different about him. His presence felt natural. He looked confident at the camera without trying too hard. He carried a calm energy, and not long after the commercial was released, filmmakers began paying attention to him. Then another opportunity came. This time, it was not an advertisement, it was a movie. That same year, he landed a movie role titled Domitila, a Nollywood film directed by Zeb Ejiro. At that time, Domitila was becoming one of the films helping to shape the growing Nollywood industry. For Obinna, this was more than just another acting job. This was a chance because in Nollywood, one good performance could change everything, and one bad performance could close doors immediately. There was no guarantee, no promises. You simply show up, perform well, and hope people remember your face. Saint Obi did exactly that. He showed up prepared because years of studying theater art had given him something many people around him did not have. He understood performance. He understood emotions and character. While others were trying to discover themselves in front of the camera, he already understood the language of acting. A new identity was slowly beginning to grow. An identity that will slowly enter homes across Nigeria because the cameras had found him and they were not ready to let him go. Because the young man who entered through simple television commercial was no longer unnoticed. Because the next few years would turn him into the biggest faces in Nollywood. Towards the late 1990s, something was happening inside Nollywood. Movies were moving very fast. Video cassettes were traveling from one city to another, from Lagos to Port Harcourt, Kano, Ghana, and homes across Africa. People would finish one movie and immediately begin asking, "Do you have another one?" And slowly, one face kept returning in many popular productions, Saint Obi. The young actor who entered through a simple television commercial was no longer just another upcoming actor trying to survive. People were beginning to remember him. And once audience remember your face, things started changing. Producers wanted to work with him because whenever he appeared on screen, there was something people felt. He had presence, not the kind that needed noise, not the kind that needed shouting. He had the kind that quietly put attention towards him. Then in 1998, he featured in another movie titled Candlelight. That movie became unforgettable. During that period, Candlelight was one of those films people wanted to watch repeatedly. People talked about it. They recommended it to their friends. The movie further pushed him into homes and made audience connect with him emotionally.
Just doesn't like me.
In that same year, he featured in a series of movies like Dirty Game, then Heartless, where he played Marshall. Then another major project arrived, Sakobi the Snake Girl, and that film exploded. Back then, Sakobi was everywhere. It was a movie that mixed suspense, fear, and mystery. People sat close to their television screen wanting to know what would happen next. That movie became unforgettable, and Saint Obi's performance added even more weight to his growing reputation.
At least you're my last hope.
Saint Obi was not known for unnecessary scandals. He was not known for creating confusion on set. He carried himself professionally. He showed up prepared. He took his work seriously. And because of that, people slowly began giving him another name, Mr. Quality. At first, it sounded like a nickname, but years later, that name would later stay attached to him because to many people, he represented professionalism, respect, and class. But while his name was rising, another bigger door was quietly opening because the young actor people were celebrating had not even reached his highest point yet. The biggest years of Saint Obi's career were about to begin. By the beginning of the new millennium, the year 2000, Saint Obi was no longer chasing recognition. Recognition had already found him. At this point, his face became familiar in many homes. People knew him. Movie marketers knew him. And most importantly, the audience trusted him. Back then, that trust meant everything because during the era of VHS, people often rated movies because of the actors on the cover. Sometimes, people did not even care about the story first. And when they saw certain actors, they immediately believed the movie would be worth watching. Saint Obi had become one of those faces. Around the year 2000, his career stepped into an even bigger phase, and the speed was unbelievable. One of the films that stood out during that period was State of Emergency. In that movie, Saint Obi played Detective Smith. That role showed another side of him. It showed how strong, focused, and fearless he was handling each role.
Liberia, you proved a reliable and competent leader. I'm appreciative of what you did for me.
Don't mention it.
The audience had already seen him acting emotional and romantic stories, but now they were seeing a different energy and people loved it. Not long after, he got featured in Executive Crown as Christopher. Then came Final Whistle, where he played Richard, then Jungle Justice as Alfred. Movie after movie, his name continued appearing. There was hardly time for people to forget him, and unlike many actors who repeated same performance in every film, Saint Obi understood that characters are not supposed to feel the same. Each role carried its own life and personality, and it gave people reason to keep watching. And as he was appearing on screen, he was also receiving recognition and nominations. In the year 2000, he won the Best Actor in Leading Role at the Nollywood Movie Award. He also won Most Prominent Actor of Nigeria at the City People Entertainment Award and several Best Actor awards in the early to mid 2000s, which was the peak of his fame. Saint Obi was getting more projects and several other projects that continued building his reputation across Nigeria and other African countries. His popularity continued spreading. Video rental shops knew exactly what audiences wanted. Some customers would walk in and ask, "Do you have a Saint Obi movie?" They might not know the title of the movie or the director of the movie. They just wanted to watch Obi. That was how powerful his name had become. And while fans admired the handsome actor on television, people inside the industry were beginning to admire something else, the way he walked. Because fame changes people. Some actors become difficult and proud to work with. Some stop taking their work seriously. But many people around Saint Obi saw something different. He remained disciplined and professional. He carried himself with maturity. But while the audience saw a man standing at the top, another thought had already started entering his mind. A dangerous thought. Not dangerous because it was bad, but dangerous because it would completely change his direction. Saint Obi no longer wanted to remain only in front of the camera. He wanted more control. He wanted to tell a story of his own. He wanted to build something that would last beyond acting. And very soon, the man people love watching would step behind the camera too. A completely different chapter of his life was about to begin. Success changes people in different ways. Some people become comfortable. Some simply keep repeating the same formula that made them famous, but Saint Obi was taken differently. The movies were doing well, yet somewhere inside of him, another idea has started growing. He wanted more than screen appearances. He wanted his fingerprint to exist beyond acting, because acting allowed him to bring life to another person's story. But producing and directing his own movie gave him power to create his own. Around the early 2000s, that desire became stronger. Then in 2002, he stepped into a new chapter. Saint Obi produced his first major personal project, Take Me to Mama. That was very different because now he was no longer carrying only responsibility of an actor. He was carrying the pressure of the entire production. The pressure to tell a story, the pressure to succeed. And inside the movie, he played a role of Jerry alongside actors like Rachel Oniga and Enebele Elebua and others.
You are the one, my love.
In the same year 2002, Saint Obi featured in a movie titled Festival of Fire, another major project that period. And then he continued to appear on screen. In the year 2004, he featured in a movie More Than a Woman. Then he featured in Golden Moon and Royal Palace in 2025. Around this period, he won the Best Actor in Nigeria. By the year 2006, he was in a movie Breathe Again, Crime Planner and Greatest Weapon, and several other projects. This project kept his presence alive on screen. The work rate never stopped, but something had changed. The young actor who once entered the industry searching for opportunity had now become someone creating opportunities. By the late 2000s, Saint Obi established Agwite International Limited, a production, talent, and branding management company. To many people, this looked like business, but for him, it looked like legacy. He had seen Nollywood grow. He had watched actors struggle. He had watched the industry move on quickly, and he wanted to contribute something meaningful. People close to him describe him as someone who cared deeply about professionalism, someone who wanted quality, standard, and better storytelling. And then life introduced another role. Not a movie or television role, it was a role of a husband. And without knowing it, the next chapter of his story will slowly become one of the most important parts of his life. For years, people knew Saint Obi as many things: actor, producer, director, and Mr. Quality. But beyond the cameras, there was another side of him many people hardly saw. The man who wanted a home and a family. Because behind the fame and attention, Saint Obi was known as someone who valued privacy. He was not among celebrities constantly placing every part of their lives before the public. He preferred quiet spaces. He preferred keeping certain things away from headline. Then in December 2006, another major moment arrived in his life. Saint Obi got married. He married leader Saint Nwafor, also known as Linda Amobi Nwafor, an executive who worked with MTN Nigeria. The wedding attracted attention as friends and people around the industry celebrated with him. For many people around him, it looked like everything was falling in place. His career, marriage, and family. And as time moved forward, their union was blessed with 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. From the outside, life seemed beautiful. The man people had watched for years on television screen now appeared to be living the kind of life many people hope for. He seemed to have a successful career, beautiful family, and a peaceful home. But Saint Obi remained very private. He once explained why he preferred keeping his relationship away from public discussion. He had experienced situations where people knew too much about his personal life, and according to him, those experiences taught him something. Sometimes silence protects peace, so he kept many things to himself. He rarely spoke openly about his marriage. He rarely brought private matters into the public. He rarely allowed people too close to him. For years, that decision worked. People focused mostly on his movies. He maintained his image of Mr. Quality. And because little information came out, many people assumed everything was perfect. They believed Saint Obi had reached a place many people dream about. A respected career, a great family, and a name people admire. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. But life does not always keep people in one place. Sometimes, after climbing one mountain, another journey begins. And while many people saw Saint Obi as one of Nollywood's biggest faces, his mind had already started looking beyond acting. Very soon, the man the audiences love on their screen will begin searching for something more. Time has a way of changing things. Sometimes the change happens quietly. Sometimes it happens slowly, people do not even notice. For years, Saint Obi lived inside the camera, movie set, and film location. His face became part of Nollywood's golden era. People were used to seeing him. Year after year, movie after movie, his presence felt almost permanent. But somewhere along the line, people started seeing less of him. At first, nobody questioned it. After all, actors grow. People evolve and try new things. And Saint Obi was not the type of man who liked standing still. Even while acting, he always wanted something bigger, something beyond being known as just another actor. So while many people thought he had disappeared, Saint Obi himself was thinking differently. He was trying to reinvent himself. He continued appearing in productions like Crying Angel. The cameras had not completely left him, but something had started changing. The pace was different now. The energy felt different. He was gradually stepping into another direction. Years later, he surprised many people again. In November 2012, Saint Obi made a public return through an event at the Museum Center. The event carried style, entertainment, and business. The industry figures gathered, and during the event, he introduced a new project called True Color. For many fans, this felt like the beginning of another chapter, almost like Saint Obi was preparing to fully return again. But it was not done surprising people. A few years later, he made another announcement. This time, it was music. Many people never saw that coming. In the year 2015, during his birthday celebration, Saint Obi introduced another side of him. He announced his entry into music industry and spoke about helping talent through Agwite music. He released 3 debut singles, You and I, Imagine, and Sarakuti. Saint Obi also starred as a lead actor and performed soundtrack of 2 iconic classic Nollywood movies, Saint Obi and Urioma. To some people, it sounded strange that Saint Obi had gone into music, but for him, this was not simply about singing. It was about creating opportunities, building platforms, and opening doors for younger people struggling to be seen. Because perhaps he understood something many people forgot. Everyone needs somebody to believe in them, just like somebody once believed in him. But after some time, Saint Obi gradually became less visible in the public eye. For a while, it looked like he was entering another phase of life, or maybe he was coming with something different. In one of the interviews he granted, he said, "The reason why I have been away from movie was because I decided to go into another business." And again, the decline in the quality of Nollywood production made me reduce the number of movies I got featured in. He said that Nollywood movies in the 1990s were far better than the movies in the 2010s. That is why he chose to go behind the scenes to handle jobs as a producer. He insisted that he did not quit his acting career. He only ventured into other businesses to expand his reach, which was one of the reasons why he stayed away from the public eye for a while. Saint Obi ended the interview with an assurance that he was very much in the Nollywood industry and he still had a lot to offer behind the scene. But after a long time away from the public, it didn't seem like he was going to return to the screen again. People started asking questions that slowly became louder. Where is Saint Obi? Why don't we see him much anymore? Is he still acting? Has he left Nollywood? Most people thought he was simply changing direction or probably building something new. Nobody knew that his life was quietly preparing another chapter, a chapter that would slowly pull him away from the spotlight he once owned. And this is when the story turned dark. Before we continue, my name is Prince Theophilus. I'm a career coach and a music business consultant. If you are starting a career in music, business, or content creation, and you need guidance and mentorship, send me a DM with private session. Let's talk about it. In this session, I will guide you with the best growth and marketing strategy that will take your career to the next level. It's not a free session, but the experience will change your life forever. Now, let's get back to the story. The strange thing about public life is this. People usually notice your struggles after the damages had already begun. For years, Saint Obi has successfully protected his personal world. Many people knew the actor, but very few people knew the man, and that was exactly how he wanted it. But somewhere around the late 2010s, quiet conversations slowly started becoming public discussions. Then public discussions slowly became headlines. Suddenly, people who had not heard much about him for years were seeing his name again because of the reports surrounding his marriage. And that was how the downfall of his marriage began, and here is how it happened. According to reports, When Saint Obi married Linda in 2006, things looked promising. Linda was doing well professionally, while Saint Obi was already a respected face in Nollywood. There were two successful people trying to build one home, but their schedules became one of their early problems. Both of them were deeply focused and always busy with work, so a decision was eventually made that one person had to slow down his career for the marriage to work out successfully. Eventually, Saint Obi was the one who sacrificed his career. He gradually stepped away from active acting and he moved his attention towards business like oil servicing, investment, and other ventures. For a while, it seemed like that decision worked. Money was coming in, the family was growing, and soon their 3 children came into the picture. But something inside Saint Obi never completely left. It felt like he had not fulfilled his dream in the Nollywood industry, the work he had known for years, because acting was never just a job, it became part of his life. And according to reports, he slowly returned to the screen through production and media projects, and then he started funding his movies with the money from his oil investment business. That was when things started changing. Disagreements started growing, and he started having arguments over business decisions with his wife, Linda, because she was the one sponsoring the oil investment financially. That was when suspicion and accusation started entering the marriage. Saint Obi was accused of being involved with other women and spending the investment money lavishly, but he denied those claims and insisted that they were a business relationship. Then the marriage entered a darker phase. The couple were constantly fighting with claims of infidelity. Even some of their neighbors spoke publicly about their conflict online. Then another layer entered the story. This was where things began to get complicated. Members of Linda's family allegedly became involved in disputes. It was said that she always called her brothers anytime he had conflict with Saint Obi. The situation became more intense to a point where Saint Obi accused Linda's brother Michael and Chukwumobi of threat and physical attack on him. He even claimed he had security footage of them forcing their way into the house on the day they attacked him. He said they threatened to kill him and also end his career. Saint Obi had to take legal action by filing a case of attempted murder against his wife and her brothers. But that only escalated part of the situation because somewhere in the middle of that case, the marriage itself was slowly falling apart. It got to a point where Saint Obi could no longer bear the threat and violence in his marriage, so he filed for divorce at the High Court in the year 2001. But what made the whole dispute even more intense was that when the judge called on his wife during the case, Linda refused to show up in the court on several occasions. This made the judge issue a bench warrant of her arrest and the police declared her wanted in 2022 because it became clear that Linda did not want the divorce to happen and she did not want Saint Obi around her. So she tried to find a way to call off the case with her influence, but maybe the hardest part was not the marriage ending. It was what came after that, the children. Because after Saint Obi filed for divorce, his wife became more furious and desperate. She didn't allow him to see their 3 children anymore. She kept them away from their father. So being separated from the children also became one of the deepest emotional wounds he carried. His health and mental strength began to fail him. People close to him later suggested that being separated from his children affected him deeply. Veteran actor Zulu Okafor spoke emotionally about the actor. According to him, he believes Saint Obi gradually became more distant from many people around him. He described Saint Obi as someone who slowly withdrew from the cycle and friendship that once felt familiar. But one of the painful things people repeatedly mentioned was his love for his children. People who spoke about him often returned to that point, his children. There were reports that he sold his car and some of his properties to survive. Some even said he was broke and could not maintain his businessman status without his wife any longer. And while people continue arguing online, while headlines continue moving from one platform to the other, the man who once stood in front of the camera was slowly disappearing from people's lives. Something else was happening quietly. Saint Obi had already entered another battle. A battle nobody could see. A battle that cameras could not record. And this would become the hardest part of his life because it was happening inside his own body. Not every fight makes noise. Some battles happen in courtroom, some happen inside home, and some happen where nobody can see. For years, Saint Obi carried himself as a strong man, a man people knew as Mr. Quality. But somewhere behind the silence, he began fighting a different kind of war. And as time moved forward, people saw less and less of him. His movie appearances reduced. The once familiar face that constantly appeared on screen slowly became harder to find. Many fans thought he was simply taking a break to focus on business, or maybe he was even planning another comeback. But unknown to a lot of people, Saint Obi had been dealing with health challenges. He was battling a prolonged illness for some time. During this period, he was rejecting offers for movie roles because he knew he was not mentally fit, and his health condition became more difficult. As his health condition became more difficult, he could no longer fund his treatment and medication, so he eventually moved in to stay with his elder sister in Jos. Again, a lot of his colleagues did not know his whereabouts. Even other of his siblings were not aware because he kept his health condition a secret he refused to share to the public. Not until April 2023, when he started opening up to a few of his friends abroad and in Nigeria. Among them was the producer Zeb Ejiro. Saint Obi called him and asked him for prayer and support for his health. He explained that he had been battling illness for some time, which was the reason why he had been away from the screen, and he had not also seen his children for a while. After that, he went back to hiding. He continued to visit the hospital in Jos, seeking treatment for his undisclosed illness. Then on May 7, 2023, the fight suddenly stopped. Saint Obi passed away at the age of 57. The news quickly spread across Nollywood, social media and homes, and almost immediately, the reaction started coming in. People struggled to believe it. Many people remember the actor they grew up watching, the gentleman they knew. After his passing, his friends took to the internet to express their grief. Richard Mofe-Damijo, Chidi Chikere, and other Nollywood actors and filmmakers spoke from a place of pain. They remember the man they respected deeply, not simply because he acted well, but because of the person they believe he was, a disciplined man, someone who many people respected. But as the news of Saint Obi's death spread across the country, another wave of conversation began. People started talking about the pain he may have carried in silence. They started looking back at the final years of his life, the divorce, the family crisis, the court battles, and most especially, the children. Because many people believe that not being able to see his children affected him deeply. Some people even began connecting his emotional struggle with his mental condition. The years of stress and personal battles slowly broke something inside of him. But here is the truth. Nobody can fully enter another man's heart. Nobody truly knows how much pain another human being carries while they are alone. Some people blame the marriage. Some blame his wife. But Saint Obi is no longer alive to tell his own side of the story. Sometimes we do not realize people are slowly disappearing until they are gone. But death has a strange weakness. It can stop a heartbeat, but it cannot stop memories, because years after the light fade, years after the camera stopped rolling, people still remember him as an actor who entertained people and also became part of their life. Saint Obi became part of an era, part of a generation, and part of Nollywood history. And somewhere right now, inside the house across Africa, an old movie will begin to play, and once again, Mr. Quality will return to screen. Not in person, but in memory, because his name still carries the same respect. This is an important lesson every career person needs to learn from Saint Obi. Sometimes, the wrong partner can destroy the peace, focus, and future you spent years to build. So when you are searching for a partner, look beyond beauty, because even love alone is not enough. Because at the end of the day, you need a partner who will give you peace. You need a partner who is kind, and you need a partner who is God-fearing.
It is my responsibility to protect them. Your responsibility. Don't forget our oath of allegiance. We were informed of the robbery that took place here. So, tell me, what are the security gadgets you have in here?
If you think Saint Obi's story is sad, you definitely haven't heard the story of Mr. Ibu, how his own wife caused his death. Click here right now to watch the full story.